Over the last 10 years, Tim had fished this entire river system apart from a 1.3 kilometre stretch. So our goal on this trip was to get in there and try and fish and explore that last 1.3 kilometres and hopefully find some truly wild giant jungle perch.
So where we are here at the moment is the very upper reaches of the river system that we're going to fish. It's 7 kilometres downstream is where we've got to go from here, but there's no fishing in this area simply because of the fact that there's an actual 40-foot waterfall and a 110-foot waterfall that stop all the JPs and fish from coming upstream. So it's even though it looks great, there's just not a fish to be caught. So it's basically 7 k's that way through the scrub and a lot of hard work to go.
Wow, what a mission. It's been about 5.5 hours walk. And it's been absolutely hectic, but we're very close now. And I'm absolutely knackered. I just cannot wait to get to the water. What do you reckon, Tim?
It's getting close. We can hear the river, so let's go downhill.
Let's go. I've been walking for the last 6 hours. I can literally hear the river. The toughest bit is here. We're literally going down into the gorge. There's about 70 metres to go and it's fucking steep. And I'm exhausted.
Just behind me is what I believe is a volcanic lava vein that over the years has just been exposed to the open air, stuff like that. This here is also one of them that has collapsed over the years. In reality, looking at the size of this, it's 4 times bigger than the one I'm about to show you, but it's collapsed, where the other one is still standing because a fig tree is lucky enough to decide to grow on top of it and keep it intact. Just follow me. Wow. As far as I can work out, is the lava tube would have been running that way, and then as the volcano explodes, pushes the earth up, naturally the lava comes out to the top. But then over time, once all the explosion happens, what's left in here cools down, dries out, and then over years, the natural topsoil and that will then fall away. So all of a sudden now we've got a pillar of lava. But as I say, the one behind is a lot, way bigger than this. But it for some reason had collapsed. It might have been a lot smaller, couldn't hold its structure. Whereas this one here, on the downhill side where it would normally fall, the fig tree has kept it and it's grown all the way up to the top. So, I mean, it's the only thing that's keeping it upright, I believe. But I mean, it's just unique and yeah, what do you say?
Name is Tim Stordinger, alias everybody calls me Bumper Bar Tim. So after walking down and finally hitting the river for the first time on this trip, it's just such a relief because it's one hell of a walk. It's 12.5 kilometres of just sheer nightmare most of the way. But knowing that I was there, knowing that for the next 3 days we're going to finally have the chance to walk up to the last pool, I can't describe how great of a feeling that is.
Jungle perch would have to be one of my favourite fish to target up here in North Queensland, just because it's such a visual style of fishing, and it really takes you back to the basics of fishing in terms of you're standing in a creek with nothing more than a rod and reel in your hand and a backpack on, and you're following these creeks up into the range, chasing these little Aussie natives and just casting lures from pool to pool. And you really get that next bend syndrome where you have to know what's around the next corner. And with jungle perch, the biggest fish generally migrate to the highest elevated pool. So in every jungle perch creek, you always try and get up to that major waterfall that will stop fish from getting any higher in that system. And I just love that about jungle perch fishing. It really pushes you to get to those kind of places.
why do I put myself through such extremes to catch such a small fish? And I say small fish in terms of, it's not 20 kilos or anything like that. You know, if you get a fish 1.5 kilos or something like that, that's a good fish. The fact is, this is a really unique little fish. It'll own a pool. Sometimes you'll throw a lure in across a pool, and as it's flying through the air, that fish will be seeing it through the air, and it will be coming directly up underneath it and opening its mouth as soon as that lure hits the water. You don't even strike, you're already hooked up before the lure hits the water. Or you'll see it, they'll be swimming along with the sooty, be following the lure, and the JP will just come straight up, bash them out of the way, grab the lure. It's just unique, you can't get it. And then they jump and everything like that. They're just a great fish. I mean, people love trout fishing, I love JP fishing. It's as simple as that. It's the same thing, except this is North Queensland, they're down in the cold, I'm in the warm. That's the best part about it.
I just love that feeling when you've been walking and fishing all day and you finally get up to those last couple of pools and you know that's going to be your chance to catch those bigger fish. And you're casting these little micro baits, these little walk the dog style lures, and you flick it into the pool. It almost feels like slow motion. You're watching it just go flick, 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 flick. You just see this V line come from one side of the pool to the other and just whack, hit it so hard with so much pace and aggression. It's almost like a giant trevally out on the reef. And I just love that style of fishing and the way those fish eat a lure and just the aggression. And in such clean, crystal clear water in the most pristine conditions in Australia, you can't beat that kind of fishing. time I met Tim, I was fishing Lake Tinaroo, and I seen this old fella come over on a kayak. I just see this rope down the side at the edge of his canoe with his bogey grips attached, and on the end of the bogey grips is this 1.20 metre barra. And he comes over and he's like, "Oh, would you take a photo for me?" "Yeah, no problem." He goes, "Oh, the water temperature over here is about 2 degrees cooler than the water temperature over the other side of the lake. You probably won't catch anything over here." I'm just like, "Yeah, whatever, mate." Anyway, about a week later, I seen him in town, and I said to him, "How'd you go that night?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got 7. He goes, "How did you go?" I said, "I didn't catch any." And it just goes to show that how knowledgeable the guy is. Like, the water temperature was 2 degrees cooler, and he just knew that I wasn't going to catch fish where I was. And that's just how the guy is. I mean, he's an absolute wealth of knowledge, and he knows so much about fishing, and he's done so much in fishing. He just knows everything about the weather conditions and the patterns and changes that make fish feed or not feed. And it's a real honour to be able to do a trip like this with Tim and just listen to the stories and the things that he says. And you just learn so much from him so quick. And yeah, it's just a real privilege to be able to do a trip like this with Tim and be able to help him achieve a goal in, you know, finishing off this system that he's spent a lot of time in. And he's caught those big fish. I mean, his biggest fish out of that system was 54. And that's a big jungle perch. And the dream for every jungle perch angler is to catch a 50 centimetre fish. To catch a 54 is just, wow. It's something I haven't done, and it's something that, I just want so bad. Didn't get that fish on this trip, which doesn't bother me because I've got my whole life ahead of me. I've got 2 young kids that I can't wait to get out and take them up jungle perch creeks when they get a bit older, because it is just such a cool place and a cool species of fish to target, and I love it.
So for me, this whole trip was really to get to that last pool, and the fact is the achievement that I've done it, and not only did it, but also to get back down to the river with the weight load that I had to carry because of the fact that I had to carry so much extra gear thinking that I might need it for this trip to get up to that last pool. It's just one of those things. I may never get back there again, but I'll definitely get down on the river. It's, I mean, it's one of those goals. It's a goal I've ticked off that I'm just happy enough to be able to do. It's just great to finally get other people to be able to come with you and enjoy what you've just done. You know? And it's just a great achievement to actually finally get there. It's, you know, I mean, that's what we live for. If you can't enjoy nature and enjoy adventure, well then, what are you here for? You know, you should be able to enjoy this, and everybody should be able to enjoy this stuff.